Hi, my name is Rym. I'm a fourth-year PhD candidate at the University of Limerick in Ireland. Today I'll be presenting part of my PhD work. Basically, my research investigates the relationship between women and nature using film studies. A logical question that you might ask is why films exactly? Well, because films are a set of symbols with corresponding meaning. As Young puts it, symbols never spring from a void, and somebody has to give them life. Symbols are sensed, meaning they are seen, heard, felt, smelled, and/or tasted, and processed by those who are exposed to them. That is to say, the audience. In here is a visual representation of the interrelated connection of film aspects. You have filmmakers who create films, the film, which is the symbol itself, the viewers, who are the symbol receivers, and the meaning, which is the interpretation of the respective film. Since my work is about the ecopsychological reading of films, another question that might arise is why ecopsychology, not any other research paradigm? It is because ecopsychology is the term often used to describe the emergent synthesis of the psychological and the ecological. The founder of ecopsychology, Theodore Roszak, argues that once upon a time, all psychologies were ecopsychologies, and those who sought to heal the soul took it for granted that human nature is densely embedded in the world we share with animal, vegetable, mineral, and the unseen powers of the cosmos. My research work has two main research questions and aims. The first question, how did the female leading characters interact with nature in the designated film scenes? The second one, what are the psychological implications regarding the underlying relationship between women and nature? My work aims to evidence the relationship between women and nature and to ascertain the therapeutic prospects and the psychological effects that ensue natural encounters. The methodology I'm using is a combination of textual film analysis of the scenes featuring the leading characters around natural surroundings, and an ecopsychological analysis of the designated scenes to evidence the psychological implications regarding well-being and decision-making. A substantial amount of studies have been conducted when it comes to the effect of nature. In here is an example of the empirical studies which are most relevant and aligning with my research aims and questions. Robert Greenway argues that the wilderness experience yields a feeling of expansion, and participants experience a type of reconnection, whether physically or psychologically or both. There's also Rachel and Stephen Kaplan and their work on attention restoration theory, which revealed that nature proved beneficial in reducing mental fatigue as well as restoring attentional capacity. The study done by Mayer et al. Concluded that nature helps reflect on life issues. People in real nature gain more psychological benefits in terms of reflection capacities than others in non-nature settings. And lastly, the study done by Berman et al., where they asked two groups of participants. The first one to do a nature walk and the second an urban walk. The result is that participants who interacted with nature had a relatively more reflection rate on stressors in comparison to the ones engaged in the urban walk. In the upcoming slides is a sample of the analysis I have done in my work. Clarobscure is a Turkish movie by Yeşim Ustaoglu. Ustaoglu follows the lives of two women, Cenaz and Elmas, who represent two different sides of Turkish society, the rich and the poor, the modern and the traditional. In this example, I'm focusing on a cinematographic choice, which is the gray atmosphere conveyed through the weather. The weather in clair-obscur always mirrors the psychological state of the leading characters. Here, Shanaz is pensive amid the roaring and crashing waves on the shore. Her recurrent visits to the beach and the cloudy weather always reflect her inner conflicts. Just after these encounters, she leaves her narcissistic and abusive husband. Papisha is an Algerian film by Mounia Meddour, which tells the story of Najma, an ambitious university student who goes through a misfortunate series of events to achieve her dream of throwing her own fashion show. The example of this slide focuses on the scene after her sister was shot. In Papisha, Najma always goes back to a natural setting. In this example, she is touching the soil of her sister's grave and planting a rose. After this, she decides to open a clothing shop of her own designs. On the right part of this slide is the description of how the scene took place step by step. Although not mentioned in this presentation, in addition to film analysis, my work has a quantitative aspect to it as well. A survey was conducted where women answered questions related to their mood and behavior before and after being exposed to nature. The results from this survey, as well as the film analysis, helped me informing this framework. First, we have the circumstances, taking into consideration several factors such as social, religious, etc. Then we have the triggers, and they vary from one person to another. In much simpler words, they can be explained as the catalytic event which leads to nature exposure. Then we have the actual nature exposure, which marks the difference, the before and after. It is the phase where the change actually happens. And finally, we have the positive outcome, which is the phase where the changes in decisions, moods, and behaviors are visible. Through my work so far, I have identified the following limitations and the future study suggestions. For study limitation, my work is gender-specific and does not take into consideration external factors like physical fitness and the actual duration of nature exposure. Also, having two films from Algerian and Turkish origins, my work does not focus on translation and its linguistic value. For future study suggestions, works can focus on media psychology, where the attention and the targeted audience are the viewers and not the characters on screen. It can also be more inclusive, that is to say that it includes both men and women. Thank you so much for your attention. Bye.